Welcome to Connect with County Leaders. Here's your host, Bryan Hill.
Hello and welcome to Connect with County Leaders. I'm Bryan Hill. On this edition of the podcast, I'm joined by Dr. Gregory Washington, the 8th president of George Mason University. Dr. Washington leads Virginia's largest and most diverse public university, a top-tier research institution that is a leader in innovation, entrepreneurship, and social mobility for students of all backgrounds, located right here in Fairfax County. President Washington, welcome to our podcast.
Great to be here.
So, before your presidency, you were interim dean of Ohio State Engineering School, one of the largest in the country, and for 9 years you served as dean of the School of Engineering at the University of California, a little different than California here in Fairfax. That's University of California, Irvine. How did that experience lead to your success at George Mason University?
Well, both at Ohio State and in Irvine, they're very different types of institutions, but both large public R1 institutions. And the institutions have gotten more and more diverse throughout my career. And so Irvine, that campus is a incredibly diverse campus, one of the most diverse in the country, not as diverse as George Mason, but extraordinarily so. And, you know, I was drawn primarily to Mason because of it focused in the areas where I had a firm belief higher ed needed to be going.
Right.
Higher ed needs to be open to everyone. We need to be providing a pathway forward to success for as many young people as possible. And we need to be positioning them to basically compete on a global stage to help make our communities and help make our standard and quality of life better. George Mason does that better than 95% of the institutions in the country. And I was drawn to that connection and into that those basic ideals.
You know, it's interesting you talk about diversity, and you know, at Fairfax County we have our strategic plan. We have 10 goals and elements. We have our One Fairfax mindset, which is basically creating access and equity for all, and it's 17 principles. And then I see in 2023, your graduating class was the highest, the largest ever in state history. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment, and that also dovetails into what you just said about diversity. But when you saw those numbers, what did you say when you got the report saying, we have the largest?
Well, so we have known for some time that we were gravitating in that way. And when the pandemic hit and many institutions began to contract, we saw an increase in applications. So more and more people wanted to come to George Mason. And believe it or not, we saw it with students at the high end, meaning our average entering class this year, which is the largest entering class that we've ever had. So excuse me, our largest entering class this year has a 3.5 or better for 71% of the applicants. More than 28% of the applicants coming in have a 4.0 or better. So these are really exceptional young people who are choosing Mason. And so we've been watching the trends. What the trends are showing is that students want the right experiences. So they just don't want to go to an institution, get a degree from a place that's well-known and highly ranked. They actually want the right experiences when they come, right? They want to be able to get internships and have engagement. They want to be able to engage with the world, not with people who just look like them, right? They want to have an environment where they will be challenged not just academically, but on the social and ethical issues that face the world. And I guess a better way of saying it, they want a place that positions them to lead the world going forward. And it's just like any other thing. If you make a good car, more and more people want to buy it. If you make a good suit, more and more people want to buy it. If you make a good academic product, right? If you're graduating high quality students on the back end, they're going into communities and getting jobs. I haven't even begun to talk about that part yet. But if you are able to do that and do that well, then people will come and consume that product. And that's what we're seeing. And so we eclipsed 40,000 students last year. We're well above 40,000 this year. We limit the growth. And so we've been limiting growth to about 1.5% growth per year. And now we run into the law of large numbers, right? Yeah. So 1.5% growth for us is a huge number for some of our competitors. Right. When they talk about growing by 600 or 700 students, that's a big deal for them. Yeah. But for us, a 1.5% growth is a manageable number that we think we can take forward.
Well, it's very exciting with all the things you just mentioned. You began your presidency in 2020. I like that because I remember the first day I met you. It's kind of cool seeing you come on campus and I want to do this, and this. And I was like, whoa, this is going to be kind of neat doing it. But you've created new academic and entrepreneurial pathways. You've opened or broken ground on academic facilities on all 3 of your campuses, because we do need to talk about, you do not just have a Fairfax campus, you have satellites throughout the Northern Virginia region. Obviously, you have a vision, right, and you have a vision for these programs and facilities. Why don't you give a little quick overview of what you have with your 3 campuses and your programs?
Well, we actually have 4 campuses.
Oh, really?
Because I did not talk to you about it. And actually, that 4th campus has a strong connection to this region. The 4th campus is in Songdo, South Korea. And you have a large, active, and engaged Korean population right here in Northern Virginia, literally right here in Fairfax County. And so we are the best pathway in the state of Virginia if you want to get to do business in Korea, if you want to get to Korea for an academic experience, we're probably the best pathway in order to do that. So that being said, let me talk about the other. We have a campus here in Fairfax. That's our main campus. We have a campus in Manassas, which we call our SciTech campus. It's really science and engineering focused there. And then we have our campus in Arlington, and that campus has a number of our graduate programs. It has our law school is there. We have a number of graduate programs in business, engineering. Our Schar School is there as well. Our Carter School is there. And those schools, in terms of Schar and Carter, are there because our Arlington campus is literally, 3 stops from the heart of Washington, D.C. on the metro, and it allows you to have access to that community in an unprecedented way. So, and we're expanding the Arlington campus now to have a stronger computer science presence. As you know, Amazon has put its second headquarters in Arlington, and so our idea is to provide a pathway, not just to Amazon, but to all of the large corporations who are now calling that region in Northern Virginia home. And the idea is to provide pathways for those entities student pathways, talent pathways for those entities to become successful. That's one of the reasons why we have a success rate of about 73% of our graduates remain in Virginia. They're amongst the highest paid in the state. Average salaries was about $74,000 this past year. And so our vision is just to continue to provide that level of value to the corporations in the region. And so we have to be that institution that the community not just wants to be here, but needs to be here.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And we are moving more and more in that direction. And so our campus in Arlington will provide support and connection to the community from the issue of political and social issues. Our law school is there, and so all of the students and the needs that need to be provided from that will come from that program. And then we have our computer science programs and our technology programs that are going to be stationed and positioned there as well. So that's there. You know, if you go out to the Manassas area, there's a strong bio tech focus, and our life sciences, a number of our engineering programs are positioned there in order to support that region's economy. And then main campus really is the entity that provides everything else.
So, you know, it's fascinating to me about all the tentacles you have. Obviously, many individuals probably don't understand the vastness of being the president of a university, especially a university that's an R1 and a large university such as George Mason. You know, we have such partnerships together. For instance, our EDA has an office in Sundo, Korea.
That's right.
We work with the Korean consulate. We exchange data, we exchange ideas, we exchange innovation. But as you stated, it's about access.
That's right.
And you're creating that access with the MVP.
That's right.
And your thoughtfulness on how we can move forward in not only Fairfax County, but worldwide is very, very gratifying to a person like me as the county executive of Fairfax County. Mm-hmm. What made you come up with that idea of MVP?
So we've had a very successful transfer pathway for years before I got here. That transfer pathway is the advanced program, and it was with Northern Virginia Community College. The idea is before advance and throughout most of the country, the average community college student, only about 16% of them will get a four-year credential 6 years after going into community college. Mm-hmm. Most of them don't leave with any credential whatsoever. We wanted to put a mechanism in place to change that statistic. We thought that community college would be a viable pathway towards getting a 4-year degree if a person wanted. So the idea is get a 4-year degree or get a gainful employment, get a job, right? That pathway has worked out extraordinarily well for us. Right now, we are well over 80%. Some years we top 85, 86% of the students who enter into our program end out now with a 4-year credential. So if you go into the advanced program and you then transfer to George Mason from Northern Virginia Community College, about 86% of those students receive a 4-year degree from George Mason. And that is 4 times better than the national average. Mm-hmm. So we said if it's working great for a partnership with Northern Virginia Community College, why not expand that partnership throughout the state? And so that's primarily what the Mason, Virginia promise does. It's an actual promise to a student that we will do 3 things. Number 1, we will provide a pathway for your success to a degree. So a degree or credential. Mm-hmm. We manage the 24, 25 small business development centers throughout the Commonwealth. Mm-hmm. So we will promise you a degree, a job, right? Or a pathway, right? And so the idea for the Mason, Virginia promise is basically to set people up for success. We know that not everyone will go to college and pursue a 4-year degree. So we said, okay, well, let's expand our small business development centers. Let's expand our support for small businesses. And the idea is, what if we don't support you there? If you don't want to get a degree, we can support you starting a business and being successful there. And that promise is working out tremendously well. We've now expanded with MOUs and operational programs in 7 different community colleges outside of Northern Virginia Community College. Right now, we are taking in as many transfer students as we are now taking in new first semester freshmen. So on a given entering class of about 8,500 students, about a little over 4,000 of those students will come through the transfer pathway now, and a little over 4,000 of those students will come through the traditional, I am a freshman, I'm graduating from high school and I want to pursue a degree.
I'm glad you call them freshmen and not first year. I just want to make sure you get that.
Well, there's a big debate on that. We call them freshmen still, but the more appropriate term is first year, and there's a reason why. Our students are now coming into George Mason with so many credits that they get from classes that they take, and then we've, with the help of Northern Virginia Community College and with the partnership that we've established with them, we are now really positioning young people in high school to take not just an AP exam, but they actually can take college credit.
Yeah.
They actually get credit for an actual college class while they're in high school. It doesn't cost them anything. And so the idea is we want people to have as many credits as possible before they come to our institution.
Yeah.
Because we know that helps them graduate quicker on the back end.
You know, I go back to 2020. I go back to your first semester. I go back to your second semester in particular. You and I had a conversation about COVID and what this is going to do to the students. We were talking about testing. How do we get more tests? How do we get more vaccinations? We were going back and forth about a lot of things. And then somehow in November of 22, you established the first College of Public Health in Virginia, being ahead of the curve, which is why you and I, when you do invite me to basketball games and I get a chance to sit next to you.
When you come to basketball games.
As opposed to sitting in the back seats, but we do have these conversations. But your public health in Virginia, it met a critical growing need for skilled, interdisciplinary health professionals and research across the state, which is why you were very, very special to George Mason with your R1 background, your R1 thought process, and that's Research One Institutions. Sorry. You were ahead of the curve, and we in Fairfax County thank you for that. Right. And I'm going to tell you, the students are thanking you for that. Yeah. And what made you think of that? I mean, I know why you did it from our conversations, but I think it'd be good for here to allow everybody to hear your thought process and how we got to that point.
It's easy to promote and to establish a college of public health in the middle of a pandemic, right? Now it seems like an obvious thing to do. When I came, there was our dean at the time wanted to pursue this. The pandemic was really coming in full force at the time. The easiest thing for us to do would have been to put it on hold and say, okay, we'll pick this up after we deal with the pandemic issues. My philosophy is, no, this is the time to actually accelerate into this, because we believe that we actually can provide support for people. We can better provide care for people if we have this public health entity. And as you know, the propagation of COVID-19 in this country and in our region was not just a medical issue, it was a public health issue, right? It extended way beyond the boundaries of treatment and care for the disease. It got into transmission and how we manage systems and infrastructure, how we talk to people and manage engagement relative to how they are to respond and operate and behave in an environment where there are pathogens of that ilk. All of that is a purview of public health. It is exactly what is needed. And quite honestly, we don't believe we're done with pandemics globally. We don't believe we're done with pandemics in the US. And so we think this is an area where we should continue to promote and grow and be well positioned for an uncertain future in this regard.
Yeah, I got a lot of flack when COVID came out. I was walking around kind of like dazed and confused, dealing with things and how they were changing.
But you had your mask on.
I did, and I came up with COVID 60. Then I said COVID 82, and some of my board members are like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "This is not going to be over tomorrow.
That's right.
Tomorrow is always going to be a day away," is what I was trying to explain to them. And you and I have had a lot of conversations about it, especially with the way we had to deal with our state and with the health. We did a really good job here on your campus, I believe, as well as through public health through Fairfax County. And I just wanted to say thank you, because there were times where you needed something and we didn't have it. And there were times I needed something and you didn't have it. And we went to the state together to help them understand what we were dealing with when you're in the most populous area. So your leadership was very good. And I really, really wanted to say, I've never publicly said thank you to you, so I'm going to say it today.
Well, we appreciate it. The partnership we had with the health department here in terms of developing, our people were engaged with your people literally on a daily basis. And we had a jointly developed strategy. We were actually administering vaccines in the community in partnership. We were getting the vaccines from you all.
That's right.
And we were administering them in the community. We were administering tests in the community through our partnership. And we were feeding you all that data and information. And there was this exchange back and forth that allowed us to keep the region, in my opinion, much safer than what that region would have been had we not partnered. And I firmly believe that we've saved hundreds, if not thousands of lives in the process of being able to do that. I can see the difference between our partnership and the effect that it had on the Fairfax County region and what happened in Manassas, where our partnership did not exist.
Right.
We saw much higher rates there, much faster growth there. A lot of that had to do with the fact that the infrastructure here was actually better and the partnership here was actually better.
Again, talking about partnerships, we're just not neighbors, right? We have to work together as partners in so many ways. What are some of the key areas of collaboration outside of public health that you see us continuing and then forging going into the future? Because you have some grand ideas.
Right.
And how can we help you?
Well, the biggest area is, as you know, we're growing. We're over 40,000 students. We have a plan to grow to about 45,000, and I think that's where our growth will be capped. As we grow, we need partners to help us facilitate that growth, right? We are actively pursuing expansion and addition of new dormitories. As you know, that there are new housing projects that are cropping up in this region in order to actually service and support our students. We want to partner with you on making sure we have the proper infrastructure in place. That means we need a partnership that helps us do that. We think that's in alignment with some of you all's vision for sports tourism in the area. We believe we can be a great partner there, and our expansion of facilities and modernization of facilities should go hand in hand with the county's plans for sport tourism so that we actually get an outcome where 1 and 1 is 4, right? As opposed to 1 and 1 being 2, right? You add a new facility, we add a new facility, and if the new facilities are in alignment with each other because it's a well thought out strategy of partnership, then the value that that new facility can bring to the community is now amplified. And so we want to be able to do all of that.
Well, you know, I'm starting to getting a lot of texts while we're doing this podcast from the production booth. So I'm going to ask you one more question. And I'm trying to get a gauge until I ask you a question about your research or sports. So I'm going to go to your research. Because I always ask you about sports. And, you know, congratulations to you. You were inducted into the National Academy of Engineering. That's right. But your specialization is in dynamic systems. I have a friend that kind of does that kind of stuff as well, with an emphasis on modeling and control of smart materials, right? And that's something that smart systems, smart control, smart systems, that was something that was huge at the University of Maryland, College Park. You're bringing it here with your expertise to George Mason. Talk a little bit about what your goal is and your vision as we move that needle further, because that is key to R1 institutions and being a part of the Silicon Valley of the East here in Fairfax County.
So unbeknownst to me, and I could not take credit for this, okay? Unbeknownst to me, when you talk about smart systems and intelligent systems, at the basis of those systems, the software that drives and controls those systems utilize artificial intelligence.
Right.
And so I've been utilizing these tools. I've been utilizing AI developed tools and modified tools literally for the last 25 years. Did not see the advent of ChatGPT in some of the large language models and the effect that they would have. We knew that they were coming. We didn't know the effect that they were going to have on the country and that effect would happen so quickly. And so, because I have that background, I'm really, really well positioned to help the campus move forward in that general area.
Well, I just want to say, I'm proud of you, proud to know you, proud to work with you. Sometimes I'm even proud to work for you, because sometimes when you and I talk, I have to work for you, even though I'm working with you.
We have to work for each other.
But, you know, when people look at this and review this podcast, we talked about small business. We talked about AI. We talked about job creation. We talked about housing. We talked about research. We talked about Silicon Valley. We talked about a lot of different things that are important to the ethos structure of Fairfax County as well as the United States of America. So thank you. And just so you know, I challenged you on the Ice Bucket Challenge over the weekend. You didn't get it yet.
I didn't get it.
We'll send you the clip of that. And well, that's going to do it for this episode of the County Connect with County Leaders, my podcast. My thanks to Dr. Gregory Washington, President, George Mason University. And thanks to you for being here. I look forward to talking with you again next month on Connect with County Leaders. And Dr. Washington, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
A pleasure, sir.
Outstanding.